Hey y'all, thank you so much for joining me today. If you are new to my channel, my name is Tish. I am a retired elementary school teacher, and for the past 4 years, I have been working in people's homes to help them declutter, organize, and decorate. And I thought it might be good for me to share with you some of the reasons that I have seen, and this includes myself too, that people have such a hard time letting go of stuff and decluttering. I'm going to share about 4 things with you, and I hope after you hear them, and I can kind of maybe persuade you that they're really not always the best reasons to keep stuff. Maybe it'll give you a jump start to get rid of all the excuses and get your house back. So let's just hop on in and share some of these things with you. Okay, y'all, so I'm going to share some things with you today that hopefully will make you think a little bit. Some of the things that I've heard over the last 4 years that I've been working with people in their homes, and that I've even said myself as to why I need to hang on to something. So one of the first things that I hear is, I paid good money for this, it's brand new, it was expensive, you know, all of those things, which I've said that too. I mean, I think we've all had things that we bought with good intentions of using it, and you know, thought it was just going to be this great thing, that we loved it, and then time marches on and it's still in the wrapper or the box that it came in, and we've never used it. But every time we see it, we're like, I paid good money for that, I don't want it to just be, you know, tossed or go away, I've got to use it. But here's the thing, and that I have told myself this many of times, we all buy things that we shouldn't. Okay, that's just the bottom line. We all buy things that we should not buy. Impulse buying is a real thing. Or even, you know, you have the best of intentions, you think it's going to be great, and you know, when you get it, but really in the end you don't ever use it, and it's something that honestly you shouldn't have bought from the get-go. Just shouldn't have bought it. Well, the thing about it being expensive, or you spent the money is gone. You are at a point where you can't return it. And you know, something is only worth as much as someone else is willing to pay for it. So you got to think, if I try to sell this, which, you know, you could, you're not going to get the full price back. We know that. You might get a fraction of it. And if that's important to you and you think you can manage that, you know, go ahead and do that. But the reality is we always think our stuff is more valuable than other people do. I mean, that's just the way things are. So the money is already gone. So you keeping it is not going to bring the money back. But the other thing is, the way that I've kind of started to look at that is, since it was expensive and the money is already gone, wouldn't I rather someone be getting use out of it than it just sitting in my closet doing nobody any good? I mean, kind of shift your thinking a little bit, and instead of letting that be the reason that you hang on to it, maybe think of that more as the reason that you need to let it go, because it is a good product or it is valuable. It's just not something that you need, but someone else could really benefit from it. So why not just, you know, give a little blessing to somebody else? Okay, so that was the first thing. I paid good money for it. Okay, so the second thing that I hear a lot, and I say too, I'm not just talking about all our clients, is, you know, I might need it one day. I might use this one day. Or thinking about clothes, it may come back in style. I need to, you know, hang on to it. But y'all, the reality of things like that is, even if you have a clothing item that, quote, may come back in style, you know that they never do styles exactly the same, trending. It's always a new little spin on it, or a new way to do the style. It's never really what the style was originally. So even if the idea of it comes back in style, the style is actually going to be a little bit different than what the original was. And 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to want to buy what the new style or trend is. So hanging on to something, you know, it may not come back in style for 10 years. So in the meantime, you're using valuable space in your home to hold on to something that you're hoping one day, may come back in style. And then along with that is, I might need it one day. Okay. Have you needed it in however long it's been packed up, stored up, and you didn't even know that it was in there because it's been gone so long? Have you needed it? If you have not needed something in the past several years, you have not used it, you didn't even know it was there, the chances of you using it or needing it in the future are very, very slim. And here's the thing, I'm not going to tell you that of all the stuff I've decluttered in the past 4 or 5 years, that there haven't been one or two things out of hundreds that I thought, yeah, I probably could have used that. But it never was such a big deal that it made me want to just keep all the stuff to start with, because most of the things that you quote might need, they're replaceable. And I don't mean something that's going to cost hundreds of dollars. I might mean, $5 or $10. And to me, it's worth it to take that risk than to hang on to something and have to store it and move it year after year after year, thinking that, oh, I might need it or it might come back in style. Let it go. If it does, you can replace it. You can buy whatever the newest trend is, and you're going to be much happier with that than having to hang on something for all those years. So, what do we say? The first one is, I paid good money for it. The second one, it might come back in style. I might need it. So let's talk about the third thing that I hear. So this one is a biggie. I hear a lot from people, God bless them, and I've probably said it too, I'm going to blah, blah, blah with this item, or I'm going to use it to blah, blah, blah. And I've kind of said over the past several years of doing this with different people that the path to clutter is paved with good intentions. And y'all, that is so true. Let me say that again. The path to clutter is paved with good intentions. We buy something with the intention that, oh, I'm going to paint it and I'm going to use it in here, or I'm going to recover it, or I'm going to, sew this and make this work, or I'm going to create something from this. And I buy things with those intentions too. But the thing is, when you buy stuff with the intention of what you're going to use it for, hold yourself accountable to that. Within the next 6 months, I'm going to do this. Within the next 3 months, I'm going to do it. If it's not done, the chances of you going back after it's been in storage and stuff piled up all over it, going back and doing what you intended to do with it, I'm telling you, the chances get slimmer and slimmer. And before you know it, you have piles of stuff that you have really good intentions of what you're going to do with it, but it never gets done. It's kind of like wishful thinking, and I get it, but that will create clutter in your home so fast, and then you're stuck looking at things that you never did, and that just makes you feel worse about yourself. Well, I bought that. I said I was going to do this, but I never did. Let it go. Let that be somebody else's thing that they have to deal with. Give yourself a fresh start. So what have we said so far? I paid good money for this. It might come back in style. I might need it. Or I have good intentions to do blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the fourth thing, and probably the most sensitive thing that's really hard for people, are items that are sentimental. And they can be things that, your kids did when they were growing up, your grandchildren, maybe things that someone gave you that, this was a gift, so you feel bad to let it go. And then, of course, the biggest one, and I personally have struggled with this too, is when it's something that belonged to someone that you don't have anymore, that it was their item. Maybe somebody's passed away in your family, or, they're no longer with you. And when you see that, it makes you think about them. Y'all, that's hard. I am not unsensitive to that at all. I totally get it, because I have the very same thing going on with me in my life. Now, I will tell you this, that when you lose someone early, I wouldn't even think about getting rid of the stuff right away. Give yourself time, because it does take time. But after a time period, after a year or so, you can maybe start to kind of really think more logically and ask yourself, what are the things that I really want to see on a daily basis to remind me of that person. And that's what I've chosen to do. I have pieces around my house that, I've got things that were my mom's, things that were my grandmother's, things that were my granny's, Trent's grandmother, same kind of thing. And I see those things daily because they're out in my house. So immediately I feel a closeness to them. I have a few things of theirs that are seasonal, so I put those out every season, and every time I use them, it makes me think about them. But I quickly realized that there was no way that I could keep everything and enjoy it and really, I think, honor their memory. It gets to be where it's more of a burden towards you, like I've got all this stuff, but I don't know what to do with, then you're really enjoying it. And it's just a real thing that happens. A lot of the people that we've worked with, and they will tell you their problems with clutter started after they lost somebody. And it's just it's so hard to come out of that. But once you really look at what you've got and you realistically ask yourself, which of these things can I use and enjoy, and they would want me to enjoy, and keep those things. And then the other things, let them go. I hope this doesn't sound insensitive to anybody, but my sister and I have laughed about this so many times. We were cleaning out her kitchen several years ago, and she had a bowl that was our granny's, who's passed away. I mean, it's been, I don't know, at least 10 years, if not more. I think probably more than that. It's probably more like 15 or 16. And she has not used this bowl in forever. It's just been tucked away. And she said, oh, I don't know, that was Granny's bowl. And y'all, I don't think I'm terrible, but I said, Granny don't care. And I mean that in the nicest way, but honestly, my granny would not care. She would tell us if she were here, get rid of that. And my mom would too. My mom was always cycling things in and out. And the other thing is, we don't even know how much Granny used that bowl. I've got stuff in my kitchen right now that I would hate for my girls to think they had to hang on to forever just because it was mine, because there's stuff in there right now I don't have any attachment to it. I wouldn't want them to keep it thinking it would somehow hurt me. Not that I would even know, but that it would hurt me if they got rid of it, because a lot of the stuff that I don't have sentimental attachment to it. And she didn't either. So we laughed about that, but she did get rid of it. She got rid of it. So, sometimes I think you just have to really be realistic and ask yourself, would they want me to hang on to this stuff and move it from this room to that room to that room and weigh myself down? Or would they want me to keep some things that meant something and get rid of the rest? And I think we all know the answer is that's what they would want us to do. And your kids' things, I know that's another hard one. I have memory boxes for each of my girls that just contain their file folders. And at the end of each school year, I just put some important things that they got for that year in each grade. And it's a small thing that one day I can hand off to them and it won't be a burden to them because it's not so much. My girls also have albums that I put together. I was really into the creative memory albums if you saw my other earlier videos. And so every year they had an album. Honestly, they're beautiful and I treasure those memories. But if I had that to do all over again, I would do it so differently. I think I would just create a digital photo album at the end of each year, more compact, something that they could keep and enjoy a lot easier. But, it's done. And they're going to have space for those one day because they take up a lot of space. And I think it's good to think that way because, you want people to enjoy the things that you have kept for them and for it to mean something, but you also don't want to burden them with hauling stuff from A to B and having to find a space for it. So I think realistically, think about, what could you keep from each year that has some meaning? Now, I am a former teacher. a retired elementary teacher. So, of course, elementary school are the years that, you've got all these things that you want to keep. But I will tell you, as a teacher, and what I keep for my girls, the way that I choose things like that is if it's like an original piece of artwork that, is printed or something they painted that I could stick in the folder, I keep that. I do not keep coloring sheets. Kids do little coloring sheets all the time in school. You would have a mountain of stuff to keep. I don't keep that kind of stuff. If they wrote stories or original works of writing, I kept those because those were important to me because it was, unique to them. But just a general, we're tracing our A's and our B's worksheet, let those things go. Now, that's just my opinion, but let them go. And as a teacher, I got to where I really tried to think that way about what are parents going to want to keep and what makes the most sense. So I know I probably spent a longer time on this one because I really feel like this is the hardest. But just remember to look at the items, find stuff that you can keep that you want to see. Don't think that you are erasing that person's memory by not keeping it all because chances are they would not want you to keep it all. Think about things that are special to you, and if you just can't do it, take pictures of it and keep those pictures so you can look back on it. But that one can weigh you down really, really quickly. So it's really good to have a plan for that before you get into that kind of situation and know what can I keep that's going to have meaning and what can I let go of. I hope that this kind of gives you a little bit of motivation and kind of can help you as you get started. You are not alone in the way that you feel. I bet if we could peek in houses all around us, most of us are in the same shape. There's always stuff that we need to let go of. Maybe this will give you a little bit of encouragement to know I can do this. I'm not by myself. The way I feel is not weird. Believe me, those are all very normal feelings. I think one of the other questions that we do get a lot when we start working with people is, where do I start? When you look around and you think everything needs to be done, the whole house, where do I start? I would say start in the area that is most impactful to you. What we have found generally is that for most people, that's either their closet or the kitchen/pantry, because the kitchen is such a room that you use a lot. We start a lot of jobs there. And then we go to the closet, and the laundry room is another one that can make a big difference in how you feel. So just kind of think about your home and the rooms that you're in the most. Where do you think you would get the most bang for your buck? And just start there. And then after you do one space, it's so motivating, it'll make you want to keep going. I hope that this was helpful to you. If you have not subscribed, please do so because I'm about to get rolling with some client jobs, the ones that let us video. So you'll be seeing lots of more motivation and spending motivation, the lack of spending. I'm working on that too. I've got lots of things to share with you coming up soon. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything, and I'll see you next time.